Masses go out onto the streets. The ones who are going to be targeted are the pro.
They might use some cock and bull story about some virus.
That Ukraine an independence danger for Russia. That Trump will lose the election in November and Biden takes over and we're going to have the Malhama.
بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله. تحليل مذهل ولا يصدق للشيخ عمران حسين. هو كان نشر المحاضرة دي زي ما حضراتكم شايفين على قناته الرسمية في 2018. المحاضرة نفسها قديمة، يعني يمكن 15 سنة من 20 سنة حاجة زي كده. الجزء الأول بيتكلم فيه مع بداية إسرائيل للحرب الكبرى هيكون في حاجة هتمنع الحج في موسم 2024. ركزوا في الكلام لأنه خطير جدا. في جزء آخر من محاضرة أخرى برضه هنرجع له وهرجع لحضراتكم.
Concomitant means taking place at the same time. A concomitant attack on the US dollar and it collapses and all the paper money in the world collapse and the US economy collapses. And then Israel replaces the United States as the ruling state in the world. That big war is likely to inflame the passions of the Muslims around the world to such a fever pitch that the Saudi government cannot allow the Hajj to take place, because such a Hajj would likely threaten the foundations of the Saudi state. So they might use some cock and bull story about some virus which is a great danger to health, and get World Health Organization to issue an advisory, and then they suspend the Hajj. And then the next year they continue the suspension until eventually the Hajj is abandoned. And so this event could be around the corner. The abandonment of the Hajj which has been held for the last few thousand years. Israel is likely to wage a big war, I said, probably within the next 5 to 10 years. And then the Hajj is abandoned. What are the scholars of Islam going to do at that time?
But Israel has a PhD in, because it's Dajjal at the back of this. And Israel would not want to wage a big war and appear to the world naked, clearly as an aggressor. No, that's not deception. Israel has to wage her big war and make it appear as though she was only defending herself, the mastermind. Only Muslim I know of who has had the capacity to be able to penetrate the deception is the only man I know of who had that eyes wish to see and could clearly recognize the strategy and the deception. Read Malcolm X. How is Israel going to launch this big war and yet get away from being perceived by the whole of humanity as the aggressor, blatant aggression? With a good strategy. The strategy is this. Ariel Sharon goes into Masjid al-Aqsa with 1,000 Israeli military with him, with their shoes on, with the full knowledge that this calculated act of extreme provocation must have a response, a fiery response. And as the flames of the new intifada emerge, you must keep it burning by greater rage. This is planning, this is strategy, this is not happening by accident. Israel you must have a television station which you plant amongst them, we shall cover this, that your Egyptian television would not cover, the Jordanian government would not allow on Jordanian television, so you create something called Al Jazeera. And the Arab masses believe Al Jazeera is their station. This is the only place in the world we can get authentic information, Al Jazeera. So Al Jazeera is now used. The masses only have to tune into Al Jazeera and they know what's happening. And so the Arab masses become more and more angry, more and more enraged. And guess who begins to tremble now? The governments which are pro-American. The governments which have entered into peace treaties with Israel. These are the ones who are now trembling because their people are becoming more and more enraged. So Mubarak in Egypt and Saudi Arabia, I don't know, is Fahad or Abdullah, and Abdullah in Jordan and Sheikh Sabah in Kuwait, etc. Israel has to judge the temperature on the ground in the Arab world. And because Israel has a strategic military alliance with the United States of America, it is when Israel judges the temperature to be hot enough, only then will Israel give the go-ahead to the United States to attack Iraq. So they have finessed this methodology of how to bring the masses out onto the streets. And this is what is about to occur. As the masses go out onto the streets, the ones who are going to be targeted are the pro-American regimes in the Arab world. The objective? To get one or more of these regimes to fall through massive demonstrations, anti-American and anti-Israeli demonstrations.
توضيحات سريعة عن كلام الشيخ عمران حسين. هو بيشوف ان لو الحج اتعمل هيكون في خوف كبير جدا ان المسلمين هيكونوا غاضبين بسبب تخاذل الحكومات، وبالتالي ربما زي ما هو قال كده يحصل حاجه يقول لك الحق ده في حاجه جديده ظهرت زي اللي كان ظهر في الصين فوقف الحج. هو بيتوقع ده، الفيديو قديم جدا على فكره زي ما قلنا، وقال لك انه الاستراتيجيه يا جماعه كانت مفهومه. هو فضلوا يستفزوا في الفلسطينيين، كان بيتكلم حتى هنا هو على شارون، لكن طبعا شفنا بن جفير وقلنا ان تواجد الحكومه الاكثر تطرفا دلوقتي ليس صدفه، وبالتالي انت تدفع الفلسطينيين لانتفاضه او العمل يعني عسكري خطير زي ما حدث، وبالتالي هم هيظهروا امام العالم كضحيه. وقال لك هم اتقنوا الاستراتيجيه دي بالظبط فيما يتعلق بان قناه الجزيره، وقالها بالنص، اللي تم زرعها وسط العالم العربي، وده كان مقصود ومتعمد، وهي بتغطي كل حاجه في العالم، فبالتالي الناس بتتابعها. ونتيجه للتخاذل الحالي وفقا لوجهه نظره هتخرج مظاهرات عارمه هتؤدي لاسقاط عدد كبير من الانظمه واستبدالها بايه يا ترى. ده هيكون جزء اخر من المحاضرة، وإن شاء الله نكمله في مرة أخرى. ما تنسوش تدعموا الفيديو ونشوفه في كل مكان. شكرا لكم والسلام عليكم.